And welcome to the Raw Review. I'm Adam Wilbourn from WhatCulture, joined by Dollywood, Michael Sidgwick from WhatCulture, here to review everything that happened on last night's episode of Monday Night Raw. But before we get into it, if you're a fan of this sort of thing, make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and YouTube. Where we do daily wrestling podcasts where we not only review Raw, but also SmackDown, the show formerly known as NXT 2.0. AEW Dynamite, AEW Collision, pay-per-views, premium live events. We have interviews, roundtable discussions, and a round of the week complete with a quiz, of course, on WrestleCulture. As I said, though, joined by Michael Sidgwick to review the Raw after WrestleMania Raw. What?
Don't know.
The Raw after the Raw after WrestleMania.
That's
the one I meant to say.
There was, I will say one thing positive. There was a moment on the show that I could scarcely believe I enjoyed as much as I did. And look, we are on the Raw after WrestleMania. There's going to be a lot of table setting. It is not the time in terms of sequencing your plots and all the rest of it for like incident. You need some table setting. I found this to be a flat and mediocre and pretty quiet viewing experience, but tis the time for table setting.
Yes.
There's a certain goodwill towards WWE, and I guess it's the same for any promotion that has a fan base. All of them have fan bases. So there's this almost desperate need amongst the fans of their favorite pop culture properties to go, it's going to be amazing. Best thing ever, this. I've probably experienced Nirvana, if anything, watching this. And look, I get it. People are massively into Bron Breakker. And they see him as the face of the thing that they love for the next 5 or 10 years. So him being positioned in an important slot in this sort of new thing is good. It's probably going to be better than the Dangerous Alliance, if anything. I would advise you to hold your horses and to not get too excited because I'm a benevolent person. Yeah, not negative. I'm kind of doing you a favor. I've identified 2 problems with this new Heyman stable, whatever we want to call it. 2 insights, which for, retention, I will tell you later in the show, one of them anyway, about this might not be the big, huge, amazing stable that everyone got carried away with, frankly, last week. But there's good news within the bad news later in the review.
Ooh, I like that tease. I loved this show. I really had a good time. I was obviously on a big high from the Raw after WrestleMania. Then there's always that what if they stumble on the second hurdle? But I thought the way they developed it, particularly using Sami Zayn in this spot and throughout the show, his interactions with people and the way the show finished, I actually had a bodily reaction I don't think I've ever had watching wrestling. That I'll bring to you a lot later on in this review. But really like that. The Backlash developments are fascinating in terms of what they're setting
up. I can't wait to actually watch it. And I say that as a hater.
And, I've been a Pat McAfee stan for quite some time now. Well, ever since I discovered he was a punter for the Indianapolis Colts. My team, go Colts. They're rubbish. But, maybe next year's their year or this year's their year, I should say. I don't know what happened in the draft. I have no idea what all that means. But really liked what he did to set up the Gunther stuff and Logan Paul versus Jey Uso. We will get to. Let's start at the beginning of this show, which obviously opened with the new Dangerous Alliance. We haven't really got a name for them, have you? We talked about it yesterday, and they thankfully didn't go for the trifecta of terror.
No.
I believe that was just an Adam Pearce-ism, perhaps, on social media. But I just love the visual because, yes, the show opens with them all coming out, led, of course, by Seth Rollins, and everyone obviously sings his song.
Very good.
Yeah. The crowd, I don't think the crowd really knows how to receive them, as we saw throughout the show, because they're meant to be this dangerous alliance. And they're meant to be this terrifying force. And even Sami Zayn, poor bastards, getting killed by them, yeah, kill him again. It's he's meant to generate some form of sympathy, but this is Kansas City after all. So Seth gets out there, gets the mic and says, people still want to cheer for CM Punk, and there's some cheers and some boos for CM Punk, and people put the ones up for Roman Reigns. But what you're looking at in the ring is the future of this industry. The future runs through one man, not Cody Rhodes, not CM Punk, not John Cena, Seth Rollins. And he's interrupted very early on by Sami Zayn coming out. I did like immediately the fact he had to just be like, no, Braun, don't kill him yet. Just holding him back. When he tells Sami it's great to see him back on Raw. Sami, you catch WrestleMania? And Sami says, yes, I saw the main event. And Seth does a little dance. He's very excited. But Sami reminds him, we've been friends for a long time. That's why I'm out here. I need to tell you face to face, all this is a load of crap. He wondered whether or not if it was simply his hatred for Punk, but now maybe Seth is just jealous. Maybe Seth wanted to be in position that he was in. Seth says, look, I'm not Punk or Reigns. This is a vision of the future. We've talked about our future before. And Sami's like, bit of a coincidence, isn't it? That your vision for years to come all revolves around you being front and center. And Seth's like, it's not a coincidence. I'm the best man for this job. And Sami talks about him being hypocritical, talks about the bloodline, says, look, this is no different. You got your wise man over there. You got your little dog over there. By the way, keeps looking at me like that. I'm going to kick his face off. Again, Braun's like, oh, kill him now. No, not yet, Braun. Seth Rollins has to calm him down. Seth says, this is a vision of the future. Sami, you're either with us or you become a target. This is not a threat. It simply is. I don't want this for you, Sami. We can get you out of harm's way. Look, if you don't want to be a part of this, that's fine. We can move you off Raw. You can avoid the wrath. Look, you don't want to buy in? Fine, let's cash you out. This isn't a threat. It's an offer. It's a favor, he says. Think it over. Come back to me by the end of the night.
Okay, right, okay. I'm going to probably go a little bit long on this segment because realistically the matches didn't really generate much in the way of excitement, drama, talking points. They kind of just happened and existed on this show. So my problem with this Heyman stable is always going to be like really difficult to get over because I have never taken Seth Rollins seriously as an authentic, brilliant, genius pro wrestler. You have to be one of those or something else to be a top guy. I don't think Seth's got anything realistically other than the fact that he's really well liked by the company. He's dependable. Like if you look at the history of Seth Rollins, top guy, when has it ever friggin' worked? So the Shield turn goes really well for him. 2015, the year after, in ring, and this won't last because of the knee injury, just slows him down a lot. But 2015, in ring, dynamo. The guy's unbelievable. That ends, and we're left with this sort of half-speed Rollins that I've never been able to get into when he's in the same genre, if you like, as Omega and Ospreay, and people have lapped him in ring, okay? It's a character. That 2015 run was plagued by Kane.
Yeah.
So you didn't really get it was terrible booking. The TV was dismal, and that was a rotten platform, realistically, on which to do that 2-year saga that was Seth Rollins becoming a babyface when he rises up against Triple H as corporate overlord. That realistically was a huge waste of time because they invested loads of it in getting Seth Rollins over as a babyface, and in the weeks ahead of WrestleMania 33, they were chanting CM Punk at him, which is now canon. Mm-hmm. So that doesn't work. Kind of flits about after that as a babyface. They give him the go in 2019. Some good matches with Lesnar, yes, but my God, he's doing the stand-up comedy, the real Godzilla-looking bastard. He's standing up for WWE. He has a terrible, terrible time of it. It's embarrassing for him. This 2019 is embarrassing for Seth Rollins. WWE acknowledges it, turns him heel. He starts being Sermon Seth, and it is the worst, most tedious heel character in living memory. It's so awful. So awful. Then, to his credit, he realizes, I'm a bit boring, let's compensate, overcorrect, hat on a hat on a hat, to use CM Punk's terms. This visionary, ill-defined as it is, he's got a song, it's over. People in WWE, the fans start to gravitate towards Seth as a guy who's always going to give you a B+. Not good enough for me, good enough for other people, whatever. What I'm saying is, he's the top heel on Raw. I can't foresee it going particularly well. because I've just cited a decade of evidence that he's never been that guy, and I don't think he's going to evolve into that guy, at least for me. The other problem, so this is problem 1 of 2 that I talked about in the intro, right? Problem 1 of 2, they're already stealing bloodline homework. And yes, this is part of the story they're telling, because what Sami Zayn is saying is, dude, this is just the bloodline. Mm-hmm. You're doing what Roman did, and you're a hypocrite, and this is where it's all going, and Seth is protesting and all the rest of it. So if I'm doing a generous read on this, and I'm putting my Hamlet hat on, my Hamlet head on, let's get a box. Maybe there are similarities between Heyman's new stable and the bloodline that are deliberate choices so that people can understand the position of Sami Zayn, who, by the way, not coincidentally, said, I'm going to be a world champion. Yeah. It really feels like they are setting up the table for him to have a big role to play as protagonist to these antagonists and potentially win the Royal Rumble, not Money in the Bank. I'm sorry.
Yeah, no, I agree on that one.
Maybe both get screwed out of it in advance cash in. Who knows? But whatever, I'm feeling like it's Sami's year. So I watched on last week as Bron Breakker did the black hoodie reveal, which was synonymous with the bloodline and the turns, and Solo Sikoa had it, and then Jimmy Uso, when he turned at SummerSlam 2023,
I think so, yeah,
wore it. So Bron Breakker, black hoodie, signified either one of 2 things. One, they are casting Seth Rollins as this corrupted hypocrite who's becoming everything he hated, i.e. Roman Reigns. If we're going to further the story, we can do it by doing little nods and callbacks to the bloodline to tell the audience, yeah, Sami Zayn's right, your babyface is right. Babyfaces should be truthful, honest, correct, smart. He's nailed it on week 2, and slowly but surely Seth will become Roman Reigns. Or if being cynical, they're running out of ideas, and they are thinking to themselves, right, well, Roman, kind of a bam, non-factor, now that he's gone even part of time. So, right, the blood and Solo didn't really work out as the next sort of big heel threat, so we've done it. Let's do something else, but similar. Seth can be the guy. He's always bloody there. One thing about Seth Rollins is he's always there. Jesus Christ. So maybe the black hoodie is a deliberate sort of
callback. Yeah.
Here's where things get a little bit, no, I think they have run out of ideas. So ominous warning number 1 of 2. 2 will follow later in the review. And there's good news and worse news wrapped around it, is that they're doing this segment and Sami Zayn is basically calling Seth Rollins the hypocrite, and Bron Breakker, who's in a suit, that's going to be a problem, but that's the problem we'll get to, does what Jey Uso said to Jacob Fatu a matter of months ago. Remember that? Mm-hmm. So on SmackDown a matter of months ago, Jey Uso is being brought back into bloodline business, which kind of doesn't go anywhere, but whatever. There was a lot of stuff that didn't go anywhere in the recent past of WWE. Is doing this promo, I think it's on SmackDown, and he's talking to Solo, looks at Jacob Fatu, doesn't shift his voice, doesn't stop, and if he doesn't stop looking at me like that, I'm going to whoop his ass or something. Mm-hmm. Sami Zayn says the exact same thing to Bron Breakker. I would say that they're copying their own homework because they know they've got a cash cow and they've cloned the cash cow. I'm sorry, that's 3 C's. There's 1 C that alliteration belongs to, and that's but bear with me. The fact that they are copying their own dialogue from a matter of months ago feels less like a cute callback, a blurring between Seth and Roman, other than they've got one idea. They've had one idea since the Renaissance happened, and they're doing a different version of the idea. So that was notable to me, how similar that was to what Jey Uso had been saying to Jacob Fatu. Felt derivative of itself.
See, I took it in a different way, but I think it also extends to A, how you feel about Paul Heyman, as all of this stuff will, and B, how you feel about generally the Bloodline story. I've talked numerous occasions.
You love it.
It's my favorite long-term story ever in wrestling, the Bloodline. I absolutely loved all the twists and turns and stuff that we've seen as part of it. What I like about it is, yes, I can see the comparisons to the Bloodline. What I like about it is, A, obviously, yes, that's what Sami Zayn is there to point out. You're just the new version of the Bloodline. But they're not necessarily, yes, they have this monster that they've got in reserve, Solo, to to now Bron Breakker, of course. But also, this isn't like no one was offered a spot in the bloodline straight away. Like this element of them saying, "Look, I like you, Sammy, and this I don't want to have to do this to you, but I will for the means to what we need to get to." So the fact that they've like, I don't remember ever the bloodline being like, "Hey, why don't you take this amazing offer that we've got and just get out of our way?" Yeah. They just would run through people. And there was a bit later on factored in, which we'll get to, in Paul Heyman chatting backstage to Sami Zayn, and they're not going to go this way a long time yet. But the fact that Paul Heyman already said something, I thought, you don't have the confidence in Seth Rollins that you had in Roman Reigns. Like, it was completely unwavering, the way that Paul Heyman was dedicated to Roman Reigns. Already, we know this is going to happen long term. Paul Heyman's like, Bron's the guy.
Yeah.
Seth is the conduit for everything, but Bron is the guy, is the muscle. And I don't necessarily mind them drawing comparisons as well, because at the end of the day, long term, if you're saying, you've got one on SmackDown in Jacob Fatu and one on Raw in Bron Breakker, that's your main event of WrestleMania in a few years. So I didn't mind that as much, but I can see where you're coming from, and I can see your concerns with this. But I was hooked for the rest of the show because Sammy's just the perfect person. Like, I don't know who else you could have put in there off the top of my head that could have been like, oh, I'm not too sure about this new stable. Like AJ Styles, for example. I'd have been like, kill him.
The bloodline trauma, if you like, endured by Sami Zayn. He should be smart to this as the smart babyface. So I do get where you're coming from.
You're looking at potentially next year's WrestleMania main event straight away, which I love. I know I'm not always a huge fan of setting up the WrestleMania main event a year in advance, but sometimes
last year.
Sometimes it's kind of all right by me. But we'll get back to this as the show rolls on, because next up we got Ria Ripley versus Roxan Perez, which kind of went the way we thought it was going to when we talked about it on the Raw preview, to be perfectly honest.
Yeah.
Roxan.
What's the DQ counter now? 4 DQs since WrestleMania on telly.
Yeah, not including NXT, 4 Debbie Deeks. So we had, obviously, Stephanie Valkyia, Io Sky.
Debbie Deeks.
We had Drew LA Knight.
Debbie Deeks.
We had Tiffany versus Jade Cargill.
Debbie Deeks.
And then we had this one as well.
Debbie Deeks.
Yeah, a lot of stuff with them trying to factor
They're disqualifications if you're somehow joining us for the first time and have made it this far.
Io Sky, Julia obviously involved in it. Julia and, as you've been calling for, Roxan Perez, seemingly confirmed on the main roster.
Well. I've got downstairs. I brought it in. It was always the plan. Just have a little celebration when I don't have to listen to this talk of Roxan Perez maybe joining the main roster. So I was always going to have a tipple when it's pretty much happened, okay? The day after Newcastle won the League Cup final, I needed to keep the good times going.
Yeah.
So I've got a bottle of tequila, a mango infusion, downstairs, just chilling in the fridge, waiting for the day when it's pretty much happened. Do I have tequila in front of me now, you ask? No, I don't. Reason being, like, I will only consider her on the main roster. I will only consider this conversation dead when she's not on NXT anymore.
Okay.
She's in that sort of, what's the word? Purgatory.
Yeah.
At moment.
Yeah. And obviously this match happened back in NXT. I can't believe it was 2022. Years have just sort of blended together. I was like, oh yeah, it's like last year or something, wasn't it? No, 2022, Ria Ripley versus Roxan Perez. Pick your poison. Some might say the glory days of NXT. They're still going for me. But anyway, the story of this match is Ria Ripley's massive compared to Roxan Perez and keeps trying to chuck around like an empty tracksuit.
Tracksuit? What's a tracksuit? I know what a tracksuit is, but what's a tracksuit?
That's how Nicholas says it, and he's not here to defend himself, unfortunately. I hope he's having a great time back. I was going to say in the States, in Canada.
Canada.
Of course.
Love to go to Canada one of these days, mate.
Yeah. We'll go. We'll make a trip of it. They must do some big pay-per-view there soon enough. We'll get to it.
I was watching Raw this morning, obviously, for my job, and my daughter, who's got a fleeting interest, she doesn't want to watch it really, but whenever she watches it, she's like, can we go in real life? Can we go in real life? She really wants to watch it. And I'm thinking, yeah, sure. And then in the back of my mind, I'm thinking 90 quid or whatever the frig it's going to be for a Newcastle house show. And I'm thinking, probably not, love. She goes, we'll fly to America. And I was like, I'd probably rather do that. If you're going to spend a ridiculous amount on a bloody house show, because these tickets are ridiculous,
seen the SummerSlam
you might
prices?
as well make a holiday of it. What?
You've seen the SummerSlam prices? You find I want to get them my facts straight here.
Right, there is a VIP package that I saw discoursed. 40 grand to meet the Miz or whatever it is.
Elite Plus package prices. This is from Andrew Baydala on X. Elite Plus package prices for front row centers, TV side for SummerSlam at MetLife Stadium are 40 grand a ticket. They've sold
MetLife as well.
So that's premium front row seating, an in-ring photo op at SummerSlam, private transportation to events. That's pretty class.
I mean, I'd pay 40 grand for that, mate.
Yeah, an all elite welcome event. Sorry, elite welcome event. A private section, all inclusive pre-show hospitality with superstar appearances by Kevin Nash and more. It's pretty cool. Post-show press conference access and desk photo op. So presumably you can sit there and pretend like you're answering questions. And by the way, tickets to...
here's my impression of how that would go. It's what we do. I never read it. It's what we do. You marks don't know what's going on. Pivot. Why the f*** are people saying pivot now? You don't know where the f*** it's going. Neither do you. I saw the draft of WrestleMania. You don't know where it's going either, bro.
Oh, and tickets to SummerSlam, Raw, and SmackDown.
And you ask Dwayne. He's got the answers. You don't. That's how it would go if you were going to pretend to be Levesque at a press conference.
40 grand. Oh, they've sold out. Damn, we missed our shot.
Sold out, Jesus. 40 grand.
Wrestle Features replied, for 40k I'd want to main event the show.
Yeah. Like, my God. 40k, you can get a real nice motor for that. You can get a deposit for your dream home, your forever home, for that amount of money. You could go, one of the go-to things that happened in my life was 2022, I think this was, we vacationed in Crete, and we'd said, look, we want to be downstairs. It's like a sort of like a mini village resort, if you like. The accommodations are like, it's like little blocks here and there, 2 floors. So we want to be on the bottom floor, and there's 5 of us. So we had some conditions. And they're like, yeah, we can accommodate you. It just so happens that the nicest accommodation in the village with a pool to itself with like a bridge over it, like this giant, private. So this one came up and no one's got it, so we've upgraded you. And it's like, oh my God, the price on this was like, I'd never be able to afford a holiday like this in my life. It just so happened that no one else could, and we had certain conditions, and they just decided to upgrade us. That's how much that costs. I think I'd rather do that.
I do remember some people over WrestleMania weekend, because posted photos of like in the Allegiant. People were like, why are you sat all the way up there? I was like, have you seen the ticket prices? Trying to justify it to our work. Yeah. So 6 of us at WrestleMania for 2 nights. So sell the company, I suppose, to get us there. Anyway, Ria Ripley, Roxan Perez. Yes, the story is, she's trying to chuck Roxanne around, but she's very quick, and Roxanne is sneaky, and she throws a jacket at her and chop blocks the leg and goes after that, basically. Ripley catches a flying crossbody there, hits a fall-away slam. Fights back, does Ria Ripley after the break, hits a razor's edge and a sliding knee for 2. Out comes Julia, though, to distract Ria Ripley. Perez gets a cradle out of that and hits a double knee drop for 2. Ria Ripley, though, fights back and gets in position to finish the match, win via Riptide, and Julia slides in, chop blocks a DQ. They beat her down. Io Sky runs out to make the save. Obviously, the heels still outnumber her because Ria Ripley's done selling. So they beat her down, but then Ria Ripley saves Io Sky, and the dynamic is set. Sort of Roxanne and Julia are on the same page, as are Io, well, sort of Io and Ria. Yeah. Because later on, I think Io was like, I didn't need your help. And Rio was like, I think you did, or the other way around.
Yeah, these repetitive, lazy, outright Vincian finishes are like infesting WWE TV at the moment. And I've said this before, like All Japan, AEW's resurgence, this Levesque resurgence, like cleaner finishes do genuinely like capture the imagination of people, and it's happened.
Yeah.
Across oceans, across time and space. It just happens. And then I don't think it's a coincidence that WWE is kind of, a promising start to post-WrestleMania 41 season, but 2023 and 2024 were vastly more acclaimed than this year. And then what's happened this year, there's been, a surplus of this sort of thing. I will say...
It's like they get excited about booking the matches and then realise the people they've booked in it, they can't really afford to lose.
Yeah, and they've got general contempt for the audience. Don't forget about that. I will say, though, there's a good and bad version of everything. I've always said that. If they hadn't been doing it so often, this was quite a good time to do it in a vacuum. And I thought they told a decent story here of Roxan Perez being that little irritant, really sneaky.
Looked great,
and looked great. I don't think the match was great, but for what it was, I thought this was well booked. Because there is such a thing as a well booked DQ. You just can't do it too often. Did a good job of Ria Ripley just using that strength, power, skill, advantage. You're going, right, I've got you now. And the second that it looked like, oh God, Roxan Perez is going to lose, that's when you do the Debbie Deek. So if they did this once since post WrestleMania, it might have been a little bit more generous, but I'm like, I can't be arsed with any of this.
We head to the clubhouse. Judgment Day are all there except for Finn Balor, who shows up. And JD, can I have a little quiet word? Because he wonders why McDonough didn't let him know that he was coming back. And JD was like, told Dominic Mysterio. And Liv's like, hey, how's it going, guys? Why aren't you getting ready for your match? Finn's like, what match? And JD's like, oh, yeah, we've got a tag team match later on. And JD was like, I told you, Liv. Why didn't you tell Finn? She's like, busy, forgot, sorry.
Well, it happens. I'm very forgetful.
But, Finn, you ain't got a title, so I thought you'd be happy about it. Get on the road to winning the tag titles back. And Balor's like, happy to have the match. Just kind of want to be, kept in the old loop next time. But they're all seemingly back on the same page.
Yeah, I'm sure there'll be some kind of twist in that tale.
Carlito.
Judgment Day.
Carlito gets very excited about
every week there's this.
Potentially everyone in the Judgment Day being a champion, including him. Give him the speed title for me.
You might as well make it.
It would be really funny if
Carlito speed champion is like a really funny oxymoron. And now that you've spoken it into existence, I'm a huge fan. As a hater,
of course,
might be a funny bit.
The legacy of that speed title as well. I mean, just look at the people who've held it.
Who's the current speed champion?
It's time to play the game. Time to play the game.
Who are the current men and women's speed champions?
Ooh. Right, men's Ricochet was the first, right?
Yeah. Don't necessarily need the lineage, but whatever helps.
Andrade had it for a bit.
I think, why not?
Dragon Lee. I think there's only been 3. Women's.
There is a women's speed champion, yeah?
Yeah, but I couldn't even name any of them.
So you've got the lineage spot on.
Have I?
Ricochet, Andrade, and then currently reigning for 164 days.
Wow, that's impressive.
Is Dragon Lee.
Women's, though.
There is a women's speed
Yeah, there is
champion.
one, but I couldn't... Did Thingy have it for a bit? The Poison Pixie? I have no idea the lineage of that one.
I don't think you'll ever get it in a million years. There have been...
How many?
2 women's speed champions.
Not Poison Pixie?
No, Candice LeRae, 1 of 2. You're half right.
Oh, okay.
And she dropped it.
2?
This month.
Oh, that's probably why I haven't caught up on speed yet. It feels like something they would give to like Zelina Vega, but now she's women's US champion. Speed, can I have the show that they're on? Would that give it away?
NXT.
Yeah. No, Sol Ruka's. Sol Ruka. Is it? Double champ. Sol Ruka.
Double champ?
Jesus. Sol 2 belts doesn't really work. Lyra 2 belts works. But Sol Ruka. Wow. Yeah, give Carlito the speed.
Yeah, why not? Who cares?
Dragon League just gets battered every week anyway. So, more problems with the Judgment Day here.
Indeed.
Well, we'll talk more about what's the future of the Judgment Day is in a little while when we find out about losing the GOAT for a while. But no, that's not the segue. I was going to say, speaking of, no. Logan Paul comes out. Why you booing me? I beat AJ Styles at WrestleMania. Not like it's hard. He called the fans victims of circumstance because they were from Kansas City, of course. They don't know what greatness looks like. Well, how many Super Bowls did they win?
Yeah.
Patrick Mahomes is pretty good.
I think that was the joke.
Yeah. They were stupid to think a true legend would look like the current world champion, Jey Uso, because Logan Paul's got his eye on him, basically. He's done everything in this business except win a world title. He's interrupted by Jey Uso, who says, I'm not about to hand over this world title I worked 15 years for to some punk-ass YouTuber. He watched Gunther beat his brother to a bloody pulp, and that lit a fire under him. That was never going out. This title is not given. It's earned, and it is mine. If you want it, Logan Paul, why don't you take it? Yeet! And Paul mocks the yeet, saying it sounds stupid. He says, I'm going to take that title. You're going to do your usual thing, crash out, screw up, and lose it faster than you lost the IC title. Ooh. And then Jay laid him out with a super kick, and the crowd loved it.
I will say something here. By the way, Logan Paul versus Jey Uso is going to be horrific. And as a hater, I look forward to watching that disaster unfold. Here's something, right? This Jey Uso business. The merch, the yeet. I don't think the matches are any good at all. Like, even in a sort of, well, the action's not good, but the emotion's there. Like, a sense of performative emotion is projected onto these matches. I don't think he does a good job of eliciting it himself, right? Is it a bit of a masterstroke, right? I talk a lot about my problems with episodic wrestling TV as a medium, how it not taking any breaks means it's sort of like it's very limited by its own like parameters. It's like definitionally not great. Like, it just isn't. Because Jey Uso's like, really him? Give him the Intercontinental title. Give him the World Heavyweight title. That's odd. But because there's this sense of doesn't belong, should he have it? Surely they're not going to like San Martino, that bitch. It's Jey Uso. How many Jey Uso matches realistically does anybody want to see? Because there's always this sense of, it's only Jey Uso. It's a nice moment for him. He's not going to hold it very long. There's like an inbuilt drama, or at least an inbuilt sense of unpredictability with every defense. Like, I could see Logan Paul taking it off him.
Yep.
I could see the next challenger taking it off him because it was a wild choice in the first place. So match is going to stink. Don't like watching Paul on TV. Get revulsed. But at the same time, there'll be some like, I will be seated during Backlash.
Yeah, I quite like this as a...
Not on the edge of it.
Yeah.
But I will be seated.
We've talked about our problems in the past of like, oh, you've just won the world title at WrestleMania. Here's Kane, or, like poor Lance Archer or Nyla Rose and people like that we talked about in AW, the usual
it's
sort of
mad
mandatory.
How like Benoit and Bryan were 10 years apart and they both got Kane.
Yeah.
What WWE doesn't deserve to be in business.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. And like, it's different. I've compared this on the news to like Kofi's title reign in terms of like, it's probably more of a moment than like you say, a run to next year's WrestleMania or whatever. I was going to ask you whether or not you think Jey Uso walks into SummerSlam as World Heavyweight Champion. For
probably,
I think that's maybe where he drops it.
But I'll suspend my disbelief.
Yeah, that's the thing, isn't it? It was like, Kofi's were like Randy, obviously, and Dolph off the top of my head. Both of them were like, hey, I see what you're doing there, but...
He had Kevin Owens as well, didn't he?
Oh, did have... Oh, yeah. Yeah. But
Joe,
maybe.
That's, a lot of boring stuff, a lot of glorified mid-card fame.
Yeah. But like Logan Paul's an interesting one because, like you say, it's not going to be match of the night. It's certainly not going to be match of the year.
I mean, it might be at Backlash. Have you seen it? It looks rubbish.
That's right. We got Becky Lyra. That's going to be.
Yeah.
But yeah, in terms of thinking, right, well, what can we do? What can we? Can't put him with. Who can we put him with? We can't put him with. Karrion Kross is getting a good push, but like that felt like it could have been like, oh God, Karrion Kross. Being Karrion Kross, obviously. I think Logan Paul's the best option. I genuinely think that. Like you say, this is purely going to be a vibes match, innit? It's just going to be noise out the ass.
Someone they love versus someone they hate.
Exactly.
It's easy as 1, 2, 3, baby. And, as I said yesterday, Logan Paul dumped Punk out the Rumble, has won at WrestleMania. I mean, they've protected him.
Yeah. Yeah, I can see, and he's just there's gonna be that moment where one of his little Weasley mates tries to slide in some brass knucks, and you're like, oh no, he's gonna be a world champion. I think Jey Uso retains, but I'll buy it, like you say. Yeah. Up next was the tag match we talked about earlier, the Judgment Day, Finn Balor and JD McDonough with Carlito there to run interference against the War Raiders. Mainly enjoyed New Day on commentary for this one because they started off Xavier Woods complaining that Alicia Taylor had copied his haircut. Senator! And Xavier Woods, braver man than most, calling Ivar fat.
Yep.
He's going to kill him.
Yep.
But I watched this and I thought, so you're telling me there's a chance they're going to run this back? Maybe there's going to be a boat involved.
Oh, God, you've got to stop.
I'm telling you, man, the boat's coming back.
You're obsessed with boats. What's your favourite kind of boat?
Motorboat, probably. Took me a second, that. We're back on the.
Yeah.
I did like the spot where...
I didn't like anything.
Where it looked like Ivar was going to do that thing that he does where he squishes them against the ring, and Carlito saved both of them. That was the only hope spot, basically, that the Judgment Day got early on. That took us to break. When we came back, Woods continuing to make jokes about Ivar's weight. He's going to kill you. He was impressed by his moonsault, but Ivar took too long while looking at the New Day, obviously, so Finn Balor got out of the way. In comes McDonough. Nice to see him still hitting that moonsault. Braver man than most.
Don't like him, but whatever. We'll move on.
He hits an Asai moonsault onto the Raiders and a moonsault back in the ring. Eric breaks up the cover. Ivar hits that awesome double handspring elbow that he does. Ivar also grabbed Balor and threw him at the New Day at ringside. Woods actually caught him, so he just tackled all of them to the ground. Carlito tries to distract to help his team, but instead, Penta shows up to push JD McDonough off the top rope for what happened last week, of course, and Eric and Ivar hit the War Machine to get the win and seemingly set themselves back up for another tag title match against the New Day, which will hopefully be better than their match they had at WrestleMania.
Which was the most TV match masquerading as a WrestleMania match. Jesus Christ. This Raw tag team.
You said it was going to be War, lads. What's this?
Yeah.
Even I was like, I don't like this.
Yeah, this is boring.
That's me at WrestleMania.
Did you go for a beer?
No, when did I... hang on, let me just check the night one card. Night 2 was 100% Logan Paul.
Yeah.
Oh, maybe it was LA Knight Jacob Fatu, because I thought I could make it back in time. Couldn't, but I got some chicken tendies and I watched the match on my phone whilst queuing for chicken tendies.
Nice.
It was the best of times. I paid $8 for a hot dog. I mean, I didn't. The company did. Thanks very much.
Thanks very much. Thank you very much. This Raw tag team division is not good. I was really bored.
What else is there?
I don't know.
Alpha Academy.
They're probably bringing in Phoenix over here in a draft because they've... Chad Gable mentioned them, yeah. Look,
Chad Gable had a brilliant comeback later.
It was good. It was good. So this tag division is not good at all. Suppose one bit of glimmer of hope is that they've allowed Penta to not look like a bitch, which they kind of bitched him out during WrestleMania. I was very much... I just drifted away during this because it was so mediocre. This tag division's terrible. And look, I don't... It's this thing with wrestling, right? There's certain, things that you're not allowed to do or you get widely criticized for doing that films deal in that subject matter constantly. Prestige television deals in this subject matter constantly. For whatever reason, there's this thing that wrestling can't. And I sometimes agree, sometimes I think, why not? Like the fat shaming stuff. I mean, you'll see that drive all manner of plotting in other TV shows, and it's just it's fine. I don't know. I think a lot of it is wrestling's nowhere near sophisticated enough to tell stories about race or whatever.
No.
For me, this is fine. Consenting adults approving a storyline to try and get some interest in it.
It's not like his body shape's changed in the last 10 years.
Yeah.
He's just a big lad.
Yeah. On principle, I find this absolutely fine. I understand why people wouldn't, but at the end of the day, I do sometimes think, come on, man. Come on.
It's just echoes of Piggy James always, isn't it?
Yeah.
I hated that.
I hated that.
Especially because he didn't really get any comeuppance.
I know. So I understand.
Even that's the most basic story of the person who gets mocked finally. Anyway,
but she was visibly like really uncomfortable the whole
horrible,
thing.
yeah.
So I think this is a different scenario. And on principle, I do think wrestling gets too bad a rap for something like this. Certainly not the history with race is terrible. Anyway, this is a tangent. What I'm arriving at is this point. Is principally, I'm a little bit less offended than most when it comes to this genre of thing. But yet again, this New Day initial turn, probably too good and too powerful for its own good, because for them to do that and then do fat shaming, again, principle, I don't really care that much. It's just a fall from grace, a total squandered opportunity.
I agree.
Do you reckon they had this in mind? It's like, all right, well, you're going to do this Big E heel turn. It's going to be amazing. It's going to get like widely praised everywhere. In 6 months, you'll be calling another tag team fat. It's like, this was not the plan.
No.
And it's indicative that the plan has been baited.
Yeah, I agree. Otis meets with Sami Zayn backstage, but immediately leaves when Paul Heyman comes in. I just really, really like this. Like, again, Paul Heyman doing his usual sort of whispering in the ear. And the way they set this up was just amazing, because the initial thing of just like, hey, we'll just move you to SmackDown is like, all right. But Heyman talks to Zayn saying, look, hey, OG bloodline right here. Zayn's like, yeah, but you kind of killed all that with WrestleMania. And Heyman describes Rollins as the vanguard of the industry's future, with Breaker as the dog at his gate, which was a wonderful visual. But the way he said it, actually, I noted down here, because I immediately went, why have you said that? Like, this isn't happening for 6 months to a year. Whether it's true or not, Seth Rollins sees himself as the future of wrestling. He would never have said that about Roman Reigns. And I really like that slight tweak, like you said, compared to the Bloodline story. Braun Breaker wants to kill you, Sammy, he says. And we can't say no to the match because that's key to our plans. But Seth Rollins, he holds you in such reverence, Sammy, that you get a pass if you take this trade to SmackDown. And to sweeten the deal, I've spoken to the appropriate people, and if you accept this offer, you get a title shot. You get the winner of John Cena versus Randy Orton. Think about your future. Think about your family. You can either live in the future or die with the past. I mean, he's got a brilliant way with words, Paul Heyman, hasn't he? I love this.
Sometimes he does. This was better.
Yeah.
I've still got reservation number 2 to come.
Oh, yeah. Then Becky Lynch comes out. Ooh, interesting this, because I was sat there going, man, when are we going to find out who attacked Bayley? She's examined the footage. This mystery has been going on long enough. It was Becky Lynch. Becky Lynch is, of course, the one who attacked Bayley. And people sort of still don't really know how to receive Becky Lynch, because they love her, but they know they're meant to boo her. And they boo her here. And she's like, don't act like I'm the bad guy. Bayley's attacked me since 2019, non-stop, never apologized to me. She's forgotten what this industry is all about. She begged for people to like her whilst wearing everyone else's shirts and dancing to their songs. She wonders why she's not a bigger star, but she saw a bigger star when I showed up at WrestleMania. Then Becky turns her attention to Lyra Valkyria. She talks about the enemy of my enemy is my friend, but the friend of my enemy is my enemy. Never thought I was going to get that one right. She wouldn't be in this business if it weren't for me, says Becky. I had high hopes for her, but I sat at home watching her, cozying up to the woman I've been fighting for 6 years. She calls her a loser for tagging with Bayley. Lyra comes out. She said, all these people in the back warned me about you. Bayley was the first. I didn't want to believe them. I was caught up in this fairy tale dream of winning the tag titles with you at WrestleMania. I don't know how I did like the way she said this. I don't know how it took me getting my ass beat to finally see it, but I see it now. I know what you are. The illusion of Becky Lynch is dead. I'm going to make you pay. She goes into the ring to go after Becky, but Becky obviously bails to the outside. And she's like, what's wrong? Scared to face me? Remember what happened last time we fought and I beat you? And she said, Lynch said, I'll only wrestle when it matters, and Cairns Air City doesn't matter. Valkyria is not surprised.
What's the name of the arena?
That's a good question. I was trying to think of that.
Well, you research that after you go through your recap while I give you the analysis.
Valkyria's not surprised that Becky doesn't want to fight her right here, right now. So how about Backlash? And I'll put the title on the line because I know you wouldn't accept otherwise. Lynch says, I'm going to make that title matter just like I made you matter. Valkyria told her to shut up. She made herself matter. She was going to be a better person than Lynch, and she's already a better wrestler. Lynch starts ranting and storming around the ring, and Valkyria drop kicks her through the ropes, beats her up. Lynch bails through the crowd, and it seems like Valkyria's got the upper hand and stands tall, celebrates on the ramp when she's attacked from behind by Becky Lynch.
I thought this is all really strong, and fair play to Lyra Valkyria, because the first time she started talking on Raw last night, she was a bit tentative.
Crowd wasn't necessarily with her either.
Wasn't necessarily with her. She was getting the what chance, and then she got poise, confidence, fire, intonation at the right times, a belief, like a really good bit of conducting in terms of this promo, and then she got the crowd completely on side. I thought she did an excellent job, and as I said, like, this is a great idea, because the precedent from 2023, it really helped Lyra get over in front of the NXT audience. They are basically doing it again in front of a wider one. And it's proof that this can work. It's already working. Highlight of the show for me, this.
Yeah, really good stuff. And I like this is on Backlash.
Yeah, and I thought Becky did a good job of... Here's the thing with Seth Rollins, I didn't point this out. He was very much doing his crowd participation stuff at the start of the show, when really he should be not wanting to get the crowd to be a mate. Becky just played the fool. Like, I was almost like laughing at her at times. Yeah, she was so OTT, but it was effective nonetheless.
They were at the PP Mobile Center in Kansas City last night.
What's that? It's not PP though. It's
T-Mobile.
Right. Okay.
Not a lot to work with there.
No.
Come on, help me out, WWE.
TNA Mobile, Tits and Ass Mobile.
Nice in Kansas. Yeah,
so that fits as well thematically. With the bit, we don't do bits.
No. Then there was the GM. It's not the usual GM. Adam Pearce had the night off. It was the SmackDown GM, and because it was the different show, I couldn't remember what his name was. Any ideas?
It's Nick Aldis.
Thank you. He meets with Penta backstage, and he didn't appreciate Penta getting involved in the match earlier. But considering what's happened previously, he let him off with a warning. But he said, you are going to be wrestling JD McDonough next week. Chad Gable comes in. Jesus Christ, just push this guy to the moon for me. Comes in, sort of says, nice work dropping the ball at WrestleMania. And Penta just looks at him and he goes, what? Nothing to say? Zero Miedo, more like zero comeback, asshole. I'm like, yeah, get him, Chad. Get him again. Do you know what my favourite part of WrestleMania was, though? It wasn't actually you losing at WrestleMania. It was watching your useless brother Phoenix lose to El Grande Americano. He had an El Grande Americano t-shirt on as well. Penta just nails him with a kick, tells him not to mess with the Lucha Bros, and drops the old Zero Miedo. Like this.
I liked it. The Lucha Bros this Raw needs a tag team.
Hell yeah.
And they don't really seem to have much use for Penta as a singles guy right now. So let's go.
Then we got an amazing video package on Rusev. He left WWE and fell into the abyss, apparently. That's where he found himself. He redeemed himself and fixed himself. He's learned in that hell not to fight for a woman that wasn't his or a flag that never was. He's now free to crush people, not because he was told to, but because he wants to. And he's now going to use his words, jacked body for good. He's going to hunt his brothers, forgive them, and fix them like he did himself.
So it's funny, isn't it? It's basically...
This is the word of the Redeemer.
This is the word of the Redeemer. He's playing the Redeemer. It's Miro masquerading as Rusev. Weird this. They couldn't decide whether they wanted to bury AEW or not because they referred to it as the Abyss. So I think the implication, right, this is so weird. The implication was, bloody hell, fell into the right bloody abyss, AEW, Abyss, Elite Wrestling. But, maybe the idea was hard times breed better men. Like, I found myself at my lowest ebb and, I faced the darkness and came out a better wrestler. So what you're saying is AEW is the Abyss.
Mm-hmm.
But what you are doing is presenting Rusev is a better version of Rusev.
Pretty good to train you up at the Abyss, turns out.
But that's the thing. And it's this weird, they don't even know they're doing it. This is how stupid WWE is at times. They did this thing, right, where, and yes, I know things have changed, and Drew McIntyre went through Florida Championship Wrestling, not NXT and the Great Performance Center and that big crop of WrestleMania headliners that's yielded over the years. But if you remember, Drew McIntyre's big babyface attribute when he had that title in 2020, he talked about this a lot, was I had to, reinvent myself and go on the grind and work hard and be this big, bloody great wrestler. That's how hard I worked. What you're essentially saying is that the system beyond WWE is better at creating stars who are worth something than your in-house developmental program. And to be fair now, they've got the TNA relationship and the working relationships with like AAA and Noah to a degree. So they are grasping it slowly that that's the way forward. But what they've said with Miro is like, oh, he went to AEW and got good. And now we've got the finished article from AEW. Thank you very much. Just that Abyss line, I wouldn't have said it at all. Just a self-own.
It's one of those ones. It's such a surreal thing that it always happens in wrestling. Some companies are better at handling it than others, are just acknowledging they've been over it, like, especially obviously when they have a relationship with like TNA or whatever now. But like, can you imagine that happening in other sports? Like Cristiano Ronaldo, what a player he was for Manchester United, that front line with Wayne Rooney and Carlos Tevez winning everything they possibly could together. Then, of course, Cristiano Ronaldo went into the abyss for a few years. Didn't do anything, and then came back to save Eric Ten Hag. It's so weird.
It's just so bizarre. It's just a strange old promotion.
What's happened to Alexander Isak? He was just banging goals in left, right, and centre. He's the one who helped you win the League Cup. He's gone to the abyss, mate. Well, maybe we'll see him again.
You better not go into the abyss. My mental health depends on it.
How are we looking for Champs League next year?
Oh, right, okay. Quick soccer tangent.
Yeah, quick soccer tangent. We need a soccer button.
I'm not the person to ask, because I will lose every game, obviously. But we've got
quick soccer tangent. You can call me Alan Shearer.
Yeah, I don't know the order, but we've got Brighton away, Chelsea home, Arsenal away, Everton home.
Ooh, okay.
So we're 5 points above Villa, so it's Liverpool, Arsenal, Newcastle, Forest, City. We are hoping that we're already too far ahead of Villa, 5 points. I mean, that's pretty far ahead.
They look pretty tired in the FA Cup.
And they look tired in the FA Cup and demoralised, and one more defeat could pretty much all but guarantee it. City, better without Haaland.
Yeah.
Better without Haaland. I've said that from day one to James, my son. He'll vouch. Forest don't look like they're going to fade off. Chelsea have got a difficult run in and they've dropped off. I'm quite happy that Chelsea, it's between us and Villa, basically. I think we might have done enough already, realistically.
5 spots this year with
5. So there's good. 5. There's 5. We might have done enough already, even if we get 6 from 12.
Okay.
Realistically.
Okay. That's quietly confident about that.
I might put a bet on saying we'll finish 6th.
Just to hedge your bets.
Yeah, why not?
Yeah, I hope you get in. This City on European nights is special, genuinely.
The PSG.
Oh.
We're guaranteed conference.
Hey.
So there's always that.
Not wrong with the conference.
Hey. We'll probably win the Europa on this year's evidence. Have you seen it? Spurs and Man U might be in the final together. Are you taking the piss out of me?
That would be the funniest.
Don't want conference. I really don't want it. Until we win it. But I don't want it.
Here's an interesting question. Do you want Arsenal to win the Champions League?
Nah.
No?
Nah, Arteta. I hate Arteta.
Okay.
Such a moaning prick, this excuse-driven prick. And it's funny, there's kind of like, when you find a reason when you follow football to hate every other team. Arsenal are the ones, they're still complaining about a 1-0 win. We beat them at St. James last season, I think, where the ball wasn't out of play. The camera angle made it look like it was out of play. And then Joe Linton was a bit rough in the box. I would have complained if it was a goal against us, one of those. But whatever, it didn't really impact your lack of winning the title. But they still bring it up all the time. It's funny. And Arteta's just, I don't like Arteta at all. I think he's a really passive-aggressive fraud.
Did you see the excellent bit of, I'll not make myself more work, S-housery that happened after Liverpool won the title? with the flares.
Yeah, that was good stuff.
In case you're unaware, an Everton fan, presumably the same Everton fan who was like, we're going to organise a bus all the way to Paris for the Champions League final. Psych, there's no bus, and you're not getting to Paris for the Champions League final. Rewrapped, I think it was like 4,000 flares, so that when Liverpool obviously won the title, congratulations to them, congratulations to Matt Raines in particular. Who must be very
I am
about
happy
that.
for Matt Raines. I don't like Liverpool either.
Okay, well, they win, and even preceding this, there was like flares going on.
Actually, I like Onslaught more than I ever did Klopp.
Okay. Yeah, he seems like a good dude. First ever Dutch manager to win the league as well, I think.
All right.
First ever Dutch manager and Dutch captain. I might be wrong there, to win the league with VVD, of course.
Would Henderson have been the captain?
Yeah, well, presumably.
With the asterisks from the league title.
But they celebrated, flares go off, the smoke things, if you're unaware what we're talking about here. But he'd rewrapped 4,000 flares. So when Liverpool fans set him off, instead of being loads of red flares, they were blue. And kind of put a dampener on. I mean, he's not going to put that much of a dampener on it. Yeah, but it is a bit funny that it's like, all good stuff.
All good stuff.
Anyway, back to wrestling and NXT Women's Champions.
And that is the end of the soccer tangent.
Stephanie Valkyia versus Ivy Nile.
It was fine.
I was pleasantly surprised by this match. I thought, Ivy Nile, friend of the channel, Hamlet bumped into him on night two of WrestleMania, which was a nice surprise. And watched other wrestlers who will not be named mark out for Cody Rhodes' entrance. I'll tell you more afterwards.
Yeah.
But yeah, Stephanie Valkyia versus Ivy Nile. All people want to see is that devil's kiss, as Booker T always does. Nile blocks it early in the match, which the crowd are furious about, but eventually...
I don't want to reduce her to her ass.
No.
She's so much better than that.
It was quite funny, though, we get to see, obviously, through the ad breaks on Netflix, but I'm fairly certain if you were watching in America, you would have seen her hit the devil's kiss, then go to break, and then come back, and she's hitting the devil's kiss. She's been hit with this for 3 minutes. Valkyia hits a meteor in the corner, but Chad Gable, who's out there, puts Ivy Nile's feet on the rope. Valkyia confronts Gable. That allows Nile to come back in with a German suplex outside the ring. Another one in the ring gets a 2 count. Nile goes up top. Valkyia just headbutts her and then hits a superplex for a near fall. The crowd are loving it at this moment. Valkyia goes for a finish, but Nile counters it with a Uranagi. Valkyia traps Nile in the ropes, super kicks her, dragon screw, SVB 1, 2, 3.
Fine to good this. The crowd belatedly got into it, who were not good all night, realistically. It's always good to see Stephanie Valkyia in the ring. I do worry that she's being reduced to this one move and that the fans will just sit on their hands until she does it. They might have over-marketed it for me.
It's all Booker T's fault.
Yeah.
Oh God, forgotten his name. Temporary GM for the night.
It's Nick Aldis.
Thank you. Meets with AJ Styles, but they're interrupted by Liv Morgan, Raquel Rodriguez, and still can't believe I'm saying this, Intercontinental Champion Dominic Mysterio. And Morgan apologized in advance for tanking the ratings because she's after Hollywood to film a big movie, which is great. We talked about this on the news.
Yeah, listen to the news. You can get that on your podcast feeds.
So she's off. She needs some time off, despite being a champion. But it's all been cleared. She gets the time off, and she's off to film this movie that we're going to find out more about next week, I believe. Dom's like, "Can I have some time off as well?" And
it's such a good line.
Strategy GM's like, "No." He's like, "Why? I'm Intercontinental Champion. I can do what I want." He's like, "No. Did your dad not tell you when you're champion, the work doubles?"
I love Dominic Mysterio is such a great idiot. I love great idiots in fiction.
Yeah.
He's a great idiot. Him completely failing to grasp the meaning of the workhorse title that he wears, that he has won, is sensational.
But I thought this gives me a free pass to do what I want. No. Styles is there. He quite fancies a bit. Dom says, "Might you go and find a retirement home?" Boom, got him. Maybe you'll break your hip like my deadbeat dad did. Boom, got him again. But Styles says, "Maybe I'll break something else."
I'll break your ass in half, you little head.
Them fighting words. Dom reminds AJ Styles, he holds the title up to him just in case he's forgotten. And Styles has an idea. He wants an opportunity. Okay?
Okay. I mean, I don't care about AJ Styles anymore, but whatever.
Yeah.
It's just done, isn't he?
I don't know what it is. I don't know whether I think maybe
He's had a long run.
I need Pat or AJ Styles back.
Bit of Pat or AJ. He's had the longest bloody run that peaked after a year. Go somewhere else.
Yeah. A-Dub?
I'll take him in the dub. Just for the Ospreay match alone.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, that's a very good point.
Like AJ versus Ospreay. We were talking yesterday how there might be not too many new challenges for Ospreay on an AEW catch-up review we did yesterday on the pods, which you can check out, obviously, wherever you get them. I mean, that's just signing him for one match, but it's not my money.
Yeah.
And he's got enough of it, so go for it.
And Y2AJ reunion, so...
I'd like to see Kenny and AJ as well.
Yeah.
Because, like, if you don't know this, Kenny and Ospreay idolize AJ Styles. You can see it in their stylistic work and all the rest of it. Like, AJ is the most influential stylistic wrestler of this century.
If you likes him so much, why do you kick him out of Bullet Club?
Because it's fake.
Oh, sorry.
Ospreay idolizes AJ, and it was working AJ that told Omega, actually, no, there can be like my athletic vision for how wrestling should be is possible. AJ is amazing. He sort of restored Kenny Omega's love for wrestling after that disastrous Deep South wrestling run. So if nothing else, having Kenny and Ospreay have probably idly fantasized about what it would be like to work AJ Styles in a big time singles match. So I'd like to see their love letter to AJ in the ring.
Plus, could have some fun with the books, couldn't he?
Oh, aye.
Yeah.
Aye.
Speaking of stars, Karrion Kross is in the back. His hair's different from when he was chatting to AJ Styles the other week.
It's getting a bit ridiculous, but
I
do like him.
The two news stories, unsurprisingly, that hit big for me in these past few days. Number one, Karrion Kross, they've heard it. It's set for a bit of a push. Good. Number two, guess who's coming to the main roster, lads? Give you clues, the Dan.
Give you a clue, might not be happening.
We'll see.
We'll see.
Big things happening on NXT tonight. Check out the NXT preview later.
Oh, yeah.
But yes, Karrion Kross said, big decision to make tonight, Sammy. Make the right one. And then he leaves. You know, normally they just go like, make the right one. And then old school WWE, they just look at each other and go, wait for them to say cut.
Yeah.
He goes, make the right one. I just walk. I can't take my eyes off him. I love you so much, Karrion Kross. Please push him.
Big fan.
Big fan as well of Pat McAfee's promo that followed.
Where did this come from?
I
hate myself for liking this, guys.
This was awesome.
I apologize. This was almost objectively incredible.
Yeah. It was like, he just sold me on a big-time Backlash match. Yeah, he stands on the announce table. He says, a lot of people have forgotten who the hell I am. Maybe I've had such a successful career. Maybe I've forgotten who I am. But I looked in the mirror and realized I'm still that dog that was born in Pittsburgh to a truck driver who lived paycheck to paycheck to paycheck. He's not handled a lot in his life, but he's blessed to have a lot of friends. He's gone from being a bum to being known in every city in the country. Look, he's not better looking than most folks, but he hoped people would remember him when he's 6 feet under. He hopes people would speak about how hard he worked, how he received a lot, but gave back a lot, gave millions and millions of dollars to his community, to children's hospitals, military foundations, homeless shelters, LGBTQ communities. He wanted people to say he left the world better than when he entered it, and he wanted people to say he was a loyal motherfucker. This is obviously censored, but he had a huge pap in the arena.
Huge pap in the Cairns ass city. City of Cairns ass.
He said, look, there's one man who's been with me from the beginning, the greatest of all time, Michael Cole, who gets a champ for Cole there. To Cole, I like this line, he will be loyal till he's in the soil.
I like that.
There's a nice bit of wordplay there. And when the Australian asshole put
Austrian.
it... Sorry, yeah. I've written Austrian here. Sorry, Australians. I've met some lovely Australians in Las Vegas who introduced themselves to me and said... they didn't have a really strong accent, and they said, can you guess where I'm from? And I was like, oh, I don't know. And then in the end, they were like, I'm from Australia. And I was like, I'm so sorry. I have to apologize to everyone from every country when I meet them,
Basically, like you Bart Simpson and Adam Wilbourn versus Australia. Can I do the boot?
Yeah.
I'll do the boot to you.
I would love to go to Australia one day, genuinely. I'd probably...
Yes and no. Flight times plus animals equal no.
Yeah.
But the rest of it seems sound.
Yeah. A can of Foster's in where it all started. That's what I'm looking for.
Yeah.
How long's the flight to Australia?
I'm fairly certain it's 24 hours.
Jesus. And it's presumably...
Or close to it.
You can't... I
Yeah.
mean, you probably can if you've got the old...
You got the old
but I don't.
resources. I don't know. Sorry,
I'm not finished.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah. He's talking about the Austrian asshole.
Excuse me.
Austrian asshole put his hands on the goat. He had no other option. He attacked him. He obviously saw himself get choked out in the aftermath. It was everywhere. It was all over TV. His friends and his family told him he shouldn't be doing that. Pat said, F that. If I die, I die. You got a problem with Cole, you got a problem with me. SmackDown's version of Adam Pearce. Get your ass out here. Out he comes. And he tells him to be professional. And McAfee says, look, I'm not happy about this indefinite suspension for Gunther. Lift that. Let me fight him right now. And the SmackDown GM, can't remember what his name is.
Nick Aldis.
Thank you.
Nick Aldis, bro.
He says, no, you two are too valuable as assets to the company. But how about a sanctioned contest in the ring at Backlash? And Pat McAfee accepted and throws down the mic. I got pumped for this.
I mean, I got pumped for this. And here's the thing. This must have been amazing because I look at Pat McAfee and get the ick. I read stories of Pat McAfee's conduct in recent months and just really get appalled. I think he's a bad person and I don't like him. I've never liked him. I might have appreciated his in-ring work on occasion. Ever since, I find him to be a clown, a prat. I don't like the vibe of Pat McAfee. I've never liked that uber jock vibe. Everyone finds him charming. I just hate him. Hate's a strong word. I really just don't get on with him at all. Not my kind of guy. This was an unbelievable accomplishment of a babyface promo on that basis.
Yeah.
He shouldn't be doing anything to me, and he did something to me.
Really, really good stuff, and a very interesting match added to Backlash. Jey Uso meets with Sami Zayn, his brother from another mother, backstage. He says, I don't know what you're going to do later, but whatever the decision you make is going to be the best one for yourself. I love you, dog, he says. And Sami says, thanks, I needed to hear that. Sami leaves, and Jey gets nailed in the face by Logan Paul, who says, that's Karma Roos. What a dickhead.
Yeah.
And this was the bit with the segment with Sky and Ripley. Ripley wanted Sky to know, that got it the wrong way around earlier, that she didn't need her help. And Sky said, looks like you did. Yeah, Sky's going to be on NXT tonight as well.
Is she?
Yeah, get in.
Oh, we'll preview that later.
Yeah. Next week on Raw, it is Rusev versus Otis. Otis. We won't be here to preview it because it's bank holiday. So who wins?
I mean, my gut is saying Rusev.
Okay. And Penta versus JD McDonough?
Penta.
Okay. There you go. There's your Raw preview. I'll just clip this and release it as a 10-second podcast.
No. Loop it.
Good point.
Loop 10 seconds.
Or just really slow so you can hit the ad markers. So Michael Sidgwick. And everything's funny when you do it in slow motion, as we learned years ago.
Yeah.
Right. Sort of all blends into the main event now because there's a talky bit leading into a match. This was the bit I talked about with the bodily function I didn't expect.
Oh, and I've got my reservation number 2.
Thanks for sticking around.
Here's your reward.
Seth Rollins comes out, calls out Sami Zayn.
What can I say except you're welcome?
He says Sami's putting him in a very difficult position. They go a long way back. He doesn't want to see anything bad happen to Sami. I get it. You don't like Braun. You don't like Paul Heyman. But this is 20 years of friendship. Last week you came out and celebrated with Jey Uso because you're friends, and I thought you were going to do the same for me. Look, maybe you don't agree, but look, me, Braun, Heyman, that's the way forward. This is the vision for the future of WWE. I know you wish you had someone else to believe in, but there's no one better than me. The fact you don't believe in me, that hurts. This business tears relationship apart, he says. We've both been on either side. After all said and done, though, how many friends can you actually count on one hand? Seth says Sami was one of my true friends. Talked about becoming a father and how Sami was one of the first people he called because he had no idea what to do. Ditto. Sami Zayn gave him advice. Allow him to return the favor and give Sami some advice that could save his life. Just take whatever Paul Heyman's offering. If you stay here, bad things are going to happen. Take the pass. I'm begging you to do it. Sami, because he's the best, says, look, if I'm hurting your feelings, I'm sorry. Everything you're saying is true. We're very good friends. We're real ones outside the ring, all that. But when it comes to everything you're talking about inside the ring, I think you're playing games, Seth. You know about the one thing that has eluded me my entire career, and you've dangled it in front of me, this world title. Friend or no friend, as long as you've known me, have you ever known me to run away? I'm not going to stand here whilst my friend threatens me. I've been a target 1,000 times before, and I can live with being a target, but I can't live with being blackmailed, blackballed, extorted. I will not be threatened. He fires up. He says, I'm going to become a world champion one day, but it's not going to be due to a favor. It's because I did it the right way. So, buddy, as a friend, I respect you. I love you. This is me telling you to go to hell. Before we get to what happened, a word on this. Chills.
Look at Seth, I can't care. I'm sorry, I just can't care about anything he does. I will say, though, one thing positive about the storytelling and the booking, or whatever you want to call it here, is that it's pretty much as soon as Netflix on Raw debuted, what brought WWE to the dance in terms of this resurgence just seemed to get frittered away, all these interesting character connections and dynamics and history and what have you. It felt like, all that was going away. But now that they've made the decision, it feels like a recent conscious decision to go away from Punk Gunther, it was rumored, Punk Roman as a singles. Having Seth in the mix and in the main event, in fact, of WrestleMania, because it was only December, late December, mid to late December, where Punk it felt like he was sending out feelers in the media of, done with Seth, got rid of that, I'm politically better. And then, not really, mate, because you wrestled him at WrestleMania, and now he's still embroiled with him. This decision to keep Seth in the mix, to have him main event WrestleMania, and now to position him as the top heel, you're kind of going back to that, character Bible, as Hamlet was fine. He puts over Paul Levesque for it. It's obviously Rob Fee, and the law director, and this feels linked to the events of late 2024, late 2024.
Tree stuff.
Because Seth and Sammy were having similar discussions, and it all feels like it links back to something, and that this sort of functioning narrative ecosystem, my trademark pretentious phrase, is actually starting to feel healthy again. So
the distractions of WrestleMania have been gotten out of the way, and now it's
it feels like a booked show, a cohesive again. So I will say that, even though I'm not personally invested.
I was super into this, and I loved the way this was shot. And obviously, Sami Zayn getting fired up gets everyone fired up because it's Sami Zayn. And like you say, when he was speaking this into reality, you were like, well, they don't do this. It's not happening now. It's not happening at SummerSlam, but it may well happen. They are going to give him that moment finally.
Trust is not where it was before the Netflix stuff and WrestleMania 41 going as it did, but it's still there.
Yeah, and not to belittle him, but it's like, if Jey Uso can do it, you can give it to Sami Zayn. You can give a world title to Sami Zayn.
Give it to anyone, really.
Well, yeah.
Who they've given it to in the past.
Yeah. But, what I wanted to get back to... What I wanted to get back to was... the way they shot this, I thought was just magic. So you've got Seth, he's pleading, please don't make me do this, because I will do it, but I don't want to. Sammy's like, I appreciate everything. I'm sorry if I've upset you, but I don't do things that way. I'm a good guy. Go to hell. And the shot changed to Seth Rollins, who just sort of accepted it. And then you heard Bron Breakker's, his music hits. I got a fear boner, right? I was so excited. I was like, here he comes. It was like that noise is the noise of them taking the chain off Bron's leash. It's like, okay, well, you've made your choice, and now you get to taste this. And Bron Breakker just comes in, and I'm like, oh my God. I got excited earlier when he was just stood in the doorway.
To get a shoot erection.
Genuinely, a fear erection. Oh my God, someone's going to die. It's going to be great. I was so excited by this. And I like the fact, to dive into the match, you immediately got Sammy's face, fucking have someone out against the ropes. Just real horrible, nasty stuff.
The rope should be used as a weapon in wrestling as a rule way more often.
I agree completely. He beats up Sammy, he hits an axe handle off the top rope. Sammy comes back a bit, but we go to a break with Bron hitting that awesome leaping clothesline off the apron over the announce table. I'm surprised it's such a regular spot because I'm convinced someone's going to get hurt every single time they do it. It's a bit like, Brutus's cannonball sequence. I think they've gone back on a little bit like, someone's breaking something. But yeah, as we come back from the break, Sammy comes back with a sunset flip powerbomb off the ropes and a tornado DDT. Both of them get 2 counts. Braun comes back with a Frankensteiner, but Zayn blocks a spear and hits an exploder into the corner. Zayn sets up. Maybe he's going to beat him. Maybe he's going to beat Bron Breakker with a haluva kick. No, you're dead. Nice, Sammy. I just love it. I just loved it. Bron Breakker.
That hurt, didn't it?
No, it will do in a few minutes. Currently, the adrenaline's going for me. Kills him with a spear. Seth Rollins is just watching on. He just nods at Bron. Do it again. And he does. And Zayn sort of crawls over to the corner. And finally, last time Seth Rollins pleads with him, take the deal. Sammy tells him, go to hell. So Zayn pulls himself back up to his feet and gets hit with another super spear, whatever you want to call it. He spills out the ring. They're calling for like EMTs. And you go, he's outside the ring. You know what happens outside the ring when you're facing Bron Breakker? And he runs around and he just kills him with a 4th spear. I think it's Jamie Noble there. Is like, please stop, Bron Breakker. Bron's like, get out of the way. Chucks him back in the ring, but the referee, I like this as a finish, just climbs over him, calls the match off. Whilst the fans, I love Sami Zayn, and I enjoyed him getting killed, but I did think that's a bit much to be like, one more time, yeah! But Rollins backs his dog into the corner and says, this is the first lesson. Zayn made his bed, now he has to sleep in it. Turns around as everyone's helping Sami Zayn somewhat get back to his feet. Stomps on Sami Zayn, and Heyman, Seth, and Braun stand tall to close out this show.
I can understand why WWE fans love this, and people who can better tolerate Seth Rollins or believe in Seth Rollins love this. Narratively all very good, etc., etc., etc. The problem, and this might actually be a problem, CM Punk, the mention of his name got jeered slightly. I'm not reading into that too much at all. But it wasn't not notable, you know? Sami Zayn, people enjoyed watching, of all people, Sami Zayn get annihilated by Bron Breakker. Less than ideal. WWE has made money, record money, hand over foot for years and years and years and years, during which time the fans just chose who they wanted, and it never really made much sense. And it was dissonant, but it didn't matter. It doesn't ultimately matter who they side with, as long as they're interested. And look, we saw it in 2020. WWE could present literally the worst stuff ever and find an audience, like a big enough one to secure future TV deals and media rights deals and the like. So there's always the caveat of, our analysis doesn't really matter here. Great. It doesn't, realistically, but I'm glad you joined us for the ride. Bron Breakker is way too over to be the Batista. Way too over. I kind of am annoyed with myself for not calling it on the day. But what worked about the Batista push, and even though it didn't really pan out, similarly, it worked really well up to a point for the Wardlow push, is that Batista joined Evolution going nowhere. He looked physically like more impressive. But is that just the aura? Who knows?
What was the lineage of that? Because I wasn't watching at the time when it first started. Was it literally Deacon Batista 1 week and then...
It was very sudden. Very, very sudden. Just, I've got a big muscle-bound heavy to be in our group. The express purpose of which was, Orton's got a bit of promise. We will mold him into a star. Batista, they pretended he had promise. He didn't. No one called what he was going to do. No one. He looked like he was so clunky in his movement. He'd shown zero personality. He just felt like this jacked to the gills lunk. Really. Like, people thought Jindrak was going to be in it, and, you know, he was going to be in it, and, like, people thought he had a bit more zip about him, a bit more cocky presence. Like, Batista was a void with muscles. He was a void with muscles. And then slowly starts doing some cool stuff. He starts getting that fabled rub. It did actually exist in this occasion. And then he starts being carefully positioned in these finishes and matches and angles where it's like, God, he's kicks ass. Then you very slowly start to think it's imperative. Like, wrestling's so unsophisticated, and I get annoyed by how unsophisticated it can be, because when it is actually sophisticated, it often works to brilliant effect. Like Brett and Austin was the most show don't tell match of all time. The fans got it because they're not stupid. Batista was the most show don't tell push of all time. It's like, that guy rules, that guy rules. They were being conditioned, but they weren't being told. It was
that
the
nice bit where the Triple H could have saved him in a chamber, I think it was, and he's like,
There was that, and it was the antithesis of the 2010s Roman push.
Yeah.
The Batista one, right? Similarly with Wardlow, I remember the vignette. I think it was All Out 2019. The vignette alone of, there's a big Jack Terminator guy in AEW, and I'm like, what?
Fighting people on a rooftop.
Yeah. With Anna Jay as the...
Was it?
It was Anna Jay playing like
I forgot
the babe.
Yeah.
This Jack's
got some lovely ladies with him.
Yeah. And I remember being like, what? It doesn't really fit AEW at all. And then it doesn't get pushed, and then he eventually gets repackaged as MJF's. And you just think, oh, big Jack bodyguard. And then you slowly think, well, he's a piece. He radiates a bit of a presence. And then me and you love the, come here, give me that strap. And it's like, oh, this guy's...
watch that today.
Yeah, and this guy's got something. This guy has got something. And then the thing about the Batista push is that there have to be nothing completely unfancied, and then you have to fall in love with them through some really elegant booking over the long term. With the probably should have just got some lump from NXT to do this, really, because some lump from NXT ain't getting cheated at the expense of Sami Zayn. You might one day fall in love with a lump from NXT, but you're not, I don't want to say sabotaging Sami, but risking the audience's bond with Sami by putting Bron Breakker, who doesn't look right in the suit even. He doesn't look right in that suit. Bron Breakker, day one, yeah, he's obviously the guy. If there's a Bron Breakker in NXT, the new Bron Breakker in NXT, which I don't think there is, certainly they're not in Dark State, I would be like, right, do him. Bron Breakker. Here's the thing, though. There's never a world, ever, where having a hot babyface like Bron Breakker is a bad thing.
Yeah.
Ever. It's great. The fans love him. That's like, I'm complaining about nothing realistically. I'm just saying that in the meantime, you are risking the bond people have with Sami Zayn. And Bron Breakker, on this evidence, last week's evidence, the last however many months, he's going to be a star anyway. You could have found any old vehicle to propel him to the WrestleMania main event. He wins Money in the Bank. He calls in a shot in advance. He wins the Rumble and sets the elimination record. There's a million different ways you could have pushed him because he's going to be a star already. This one feels like you're delaying it. People see it as...
I quite like that, though, in terms of, like, people are already so desperate for it, and Heyman's already gone, if he thinks he's the future of the business, then maybe he is.
Yeah.
Well, just because you got one eye on him already.
No, I like this discussion because maybe you're reeling me back from being too negative.
Bron's Money in the Bank win is a great shout. Yeah. Just as, like, not an insurance policy so much, but just like... the whole thing was like, we're grooming Batista or Randy Orton to be the next world champion. When Triple H is ready, he'll step aside. He literally said, there you go. This gets you the world title. Just hold on to that. And whenever Paul Heyman thinks it's the right time, or Seth, we'll call it.
I just think that they should have chosen a different vehicle to push Braun, who's already on the cusp. I think that maybe it's a good idea to delay things. I don't know. But... he's meant to be this heel, realistically. And on that, the last thing I have to say is there's been talk of WWE fans, cheering the heel Bron Breakker, cheering the heel Seth Rollins, a smattering of light boos at the mention of CM Punk. Sami Zayn, people want to see him get annihilated. That's the opposite, really. They are kind of making their own adventure, in my opinion, because WrestleMania 41 didn't give them what they wanted, and they've nerfed baby faces. I think they protected Sami Zayn with the booking here very, very well.
Yeah.
But Cody Rhodes looked rubbish at WrestleMania. Like, not the wrestler, the character looked so weak. They literally did the... Hang on. Look over there. To Roman Reigns at WrestleMania. That was the finish. Look. Okay, boys. And then it's like you made him look like a dick. You've made Cody look like a dick. CM Punk looked stupid. Not like he wasn't made. His master plan, which is a little bit spiteful, was to take Heyman off Roman, and that didn't really work out well. I don't know if that accounts for the boot. They basically need to keep it simple, stupid, WWE. Yeah. Remember what brought them to the dance.
I'm just really, really into this, and I'm excited to see where it goes next. And I didn't think I was going to be saying that if you'd have told me 4 weeks ago, Seth Rollins wins the main event of Night 1 of WrestleMania, and then and then again, if you'd have told me about this potential stable, maybe I would have been into it. But yeah, I do really like, already people are like, out of the way, you, Seth. Who's that guy behind you? But
I got 52 weeks of it, though, bro.
Yeah.
He's strapped in for all of them.
Let's go. But do let us know. I'd love to know your thoughts on it in the comments section below, or on X at WhatCulture WWE. Watch, you can follow both of us. You follow Michael Sidgwick at
Sidgwick.
Follow me at Adam Wilbourn. Follow us all at WhatCulture WWE, as I said. Make sure you subscribe to WhatCulture Wrestling, wherever you get your podcasts from, for daily wrestling podcasts. Me and Sidge will be back later on today to preview NXT. But for now, this has been the Raw review. My thanks to Michael Sidgwick. Thank you for joining us, and we will see you soon.